Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. We're in the final match of Championship 9, so match 12, we're in the finals. It's exciting. We just got done with the huge emotional match with Abattoir. That was crazy. And now we're going to try something new on these Grand Arena matches. I'm going to try to make the videos significantly shorter. I'm going to be doing a voiceover, getting rid of all of the audio from my Twitch stream. You guys will see like my logo in the top left, blocking out the video of myself talking, because that's the only record I currently have of this fight. So anyways, I would really appreciate feedback from you guys telling me if this format is good. I don't want to get super into the strategy, and just like I can't spend a long time making these videos. I've already spent a long time streaming them and doing all that stuff. I want to be making other content, and so I'm trying to find a happy medium here of just trying to spend as little time as is feasible with my Grand Arena matches, but I do feel like the stream feeds, just importing them from Twitch to YouTube, they're just kind of too long. People don't want to watch all of this stuff. Like, I'm just chatting with people on the side and stuff, and I don't know. I would love feedback. So anyways, this should be one of the longer videos just because I'm talking at length at the beginning, but my goal is to keep them at right around 20 minutes of length. Of course, that can vary, but anyways, guys, please let me know what your thoughts are, and hope you enjoy the video. Alright folks, let's jump into it. So give you guys a couple of these screenshots here to start the match off. We're at 10-1 currently moving into this match. This is the finals, and after facing Abattoir in the most recent round, this was going to be a little bit, I don't know, it felt like it was going to be a little bit easier. My opponent had already attacked moving into this round, which is very nice, of course. And they had stumbled once against my Supreme Leader Kylo, who I put on defense. Now, keep in mind, I only have one Galactic Legend. They have two, and I was pretty sure that they had kept their Rey for offense, though if they did that, then it wasn't that worth it, because she still failed against my against my Supreme Leader Kylo. They also failed against my Rey team with the Hero Bros, and then they just didn't even try against my Darth Revan team. I was relatively sure that they just were out of teams, but you never know. They do keep quite a bit on offense. They did have a Supreme Leader Kylo at Relic 5 without ultimate or anything on defense. This is the first week that they'd had that available, so I didn't really have any records from GAC history on what they had. Otherwise, the rest of their defenses looked relatively soft. That Skeleton DR team is pretty easy. First, we need to take out the Supreme Leader Kylo team, though, so what we're doing here, taking the Jedi Revan with Jedi Luke team that I've been working on. You pass turn meter to Jedi Luke from Jedi Revan, and Luke just stuns everyone except for Kylo, and that's really helpful because they don't get a turn, obviously. And now what we're trying to do, we're just trying to buff Luke up so that he can start just one-shotting people. Sith Trooper is a highly problematic character, so you want to take him out as quick as you can. And honestly, sometimes I actually prefer to try taking out Hux instead. I think that that is perhaps a slightly better option in this case, but this is still pretty good. We're just trying to get rid of all of the guys surrounding Kylo, and this is a pretty high percentage win rate for me. Honestly, I very rarely lose this, but if in the case that I do, we want to be set up to be able to just send in whatever other squads I have remaining, like Commander Luke or something, trying to take out Supreme Leader Kylo. So once Kylo's basically alone, like we still have First Order Officer, we can try to control Officer as much as we can, and in this case we have him stunned and ability blocked. Now that doesn't necessarily help that much against Supreme Leader Kylo if Kylo is able to do his AoE and Dispel on First Order Officer, but in this case we were able to just charge him and take him down. So 57 banners is not a bad score at all. Old Ben did his job and died in a timely fashion to give me all the buffs I needed, so that was nice. Now my opponent kind of gave me a gift here. He gave me a Phasma squad with like one weak character that I could potentially kill with troopers, and otherwise this team is pretty ripe for the plucking, so to speak. Not that they're chickens or birds, but I do enjoy that metaphor anyways for some reason. So you need to kill someone with troopers first. That TIE pilot has no health or protection to speak of. And so now I'm trying to decide, once you get the first kill, then all of the troopers get a bunch of turn meter, and we're able to most likely just do a lot of work here. It's kind of a cascading effect, because then we can do AoEs and weaken the rest of the team while we're killing one member at a time, just trying to focus them down. And just one hit at a time, we're just able to kill these different team members. And I did decide to use Terminate here, because Terminate doesn't necessarily help that much against Kylo, but First Order Stormtrooper is someone who will shoot back if we shoot him, and my troopers aren't super high relic. Like, this is a pretty huge trade upward if we can actually manage it, because I only have 5 relic levels total, and I mean, Kylo that we just took out here has like 7, and the whole team is relic, so pretty huge trade up in that regard, and we're able to get through that bottom zone fairly cheaply, honestly. We needed to see what was going to be in the back, and I was very surprised to see that much Gear 12. Like, I've stopped seeing much Gear 12. Like, I don't see Gear 11 anymore, unless it's some like key character like Watt that someone hasn't been able to unlock all the way yet. But otherwise, like, everyone plays Gear 12 or higher, and usually it's Gear 13 at this point. Most of my matches are that way. I decided to throw my bounty hunters in against Darth Revan. This is a very high percentage win. One thing you have to keep in mind, though, of course, is how much damage a Relic 7 Revan can do and a Relic 7 Marauder can do. So what we're doing here, basically Bosk lead is just a really great lead against skeleton Darth Revan, or even Darth Revan with Malak, because of all the different debuffs that his team is generating. Look at all the debuffs on the Darth Revan team. Every time they generate that, it heals 5% health and protection for each bounty hunter for each stack. So you get 5 stacks, and that heals all of the bounty hunters 25% on both health and protection, and that's just for one character. So if everyone gets 5 stacks, then it just full heals the bounty hunters. So it also weakens them to the point of being able to just like one-shot a lot of their characters. Now, one really frustrating thing, however, is after they did the Unity patch, Bluestacks has been super unstable, and I crashed there. That was a high percentage win. I am almost certain I would have won that match, but failed it because I crashed. Really frustrating, but we've got to move on. So now I decided I needed to make sure I could take on this Newt team. So we're taking Kylo Ren unmasked with Watt, and you'll note that I kept Executioner and OG Kylo and First Order Officer specifically away from my Supreme Leader Kylo team, because I want this team to remain intact to be able to counter things like Night Sisters, Newt teams with Malak. This is a pretty high percentage win as well. So Malak does throw kind of a hitch in things. He's shocked my Kylo, and that means that I can't gain taunt, though of course if he gets a turn, then because he has the tank tech, it's dispelled immediately. But this is kind of a problematic situation, just because Jango or rather Dooku has hidden the rest of the Separatists and has made me just hit Malak. And this is a Relic 7 Malak, so he's not easy to take care of, but Executioner with the weapons tech is just pretty gross in terms of how much damage he does, and I was able to get through him pretty easily, actually relatively easily. Now we're just trying to find a way to get the taunt back onto Kylo and get all the health and protection back that we can. These guys are all hitting pretty hard. Like Jango hits pretty hard with this team, and so does Droideka. The issue being they're all also like pretty easy to take out. So Executioner goes and one-shots Jango. He has the weapons tech, and that means he disallows revives. OG Kylo decided to heal his protection because he has the Zeta on his special. So he hit Dooku and actually just killed him. I also was just hoping for a stun there at the very least, but it healed him and killed him. Killed Dooku at the same time. So got a twofer, which is always nice. And now I'm just trying to decide what exactly I want to do to get full banners, or as full as possible. So if we can get Executioner to just kill Newt, then he won't come back because it disallows revives, and that's what Newt does, is he dies and then revives himself and comes back. So I do really enjoy First Order Executioner against that Newt team, because he kills Jango on the first hit and he kills Newt on the first hit. Always fun to be able to do that. So now Darth Revan still has to be taken care of. Instead of getting 60 banners with bounty hunters, as I always do against the skeleton Darth Revan squad, decided to take in my Luke team, and frankly, so we can't just try to snipe Darth Revan right away. That doesn't work because you can't do multiple attacks on Darth Revan. Like, you can hit him, I guess, multiple times, like with Han if he has multiple attacks, but he doesn't necessarily. You can't have assists on Darth Revan. So that doesn't necessarily work. Like, Chewie doesn't shoot and help Han or anything. And then if Luke tries to switch position, change his stance, whatever, Chewie is also not assisting on that. And so he's pretty tough to kill until he's alone. And Marauder actually acts as a bigger threat anyways, because every time you're hitting another character, Marauder is gaining a bunch of turn meter. So decided to target Marauder right out the gate, and obviously he died way after the time that I'm talking about this, but 33 banners is not great against this team, especially because I thought I was going to get 60, frankly, with bounty hunters, and had that taken away from me, obviously, because of the crash. Really hope that they fix Bluestacks, but it is great that I was able to get rid of that team with another slightly less ideal team. And now we have this General Grievous squad, and it's really the only squad that's standing in our way to victory, because the squads in the back are all gear 12 and just not that great. So General Skywalker here. One thing to note with Skywalker and the clones is that Skywalker is modded for like pure offense. And pure offense is great if you want to kill a galactic legend, and it's actually, I'm really warming up to the idea of just going full offense. Honestly, like I was originally just going full defense, like putting a ton of armor and a ton of protection on him and just making him really tough to kill. But the damage he does with full offense is just really fun, and it's really fun against this particular Grievous build, because Watt can revive the droids against any other team, but because General Skywalker is the leader and he has all his clones and everything, they're not able to revive anything. So you can kind of wait till last for Watt to get taken out instead of like prioritizing him, which is a huge bonus. And 55 banners is actually pretty decent against this squad. All I needed to do was get a win, assuming that my opponent was able to or rather was stopped on my Darth Revan squad and wouldn't be able to clear it. So, yeah, that went pretty smoothly actually. So we've got the Negotiator in the back here, and you know, I decided not to take it out first. I wanted to take these other teams out, and frankly, they had kind of thrown me for a loop here, trying to use my bounty hunters to kill that Darth Revan squad. I would actually like to have used bounty hunters against against that against this squad as well, just because they're all gear 12, and these Night Sisters are not that great, frankly. So that being said, I would have also liked to have Luke available to be able to counter these things in the back. Had to kind of readjust what teams I wanted to use, and frankly, Palpatine with Bastila Shan is amazing for countering the Night Sisters. I decided to try Vader with Palpatine here instead, just to see if I could kind of emulate the effect that Bastila has. Now, Bastila is really strong against them because not only does she give a ton of debuffs to fuel that turn meter train, but she also inflicts fear. She gives stagger. She makes it really tough for the Night Sisters team to get any turns, and so that makes this squad a little less viable. Like, Vader is still inflicting a ton of damage over time and debuffs, and that is great, but Bastila does provide more than just debuffs. So something to keep in mind. I did put Isolate onto Old Daka there because Old Daka gains a ton of turn meter and can then revive people every time someone dies, and I didn't want to put it on Zombie because if I killed Zombie by accident, or if I killed anyone that Zombie would then revive for, then Isolate would just fall off. So just putting Isolate on Old Daka to limit her turn meter gain until I could take her out last. And 58 banners is way better than I had assumed was actually possible against this team. So with Palpatine, but it's fairly dominant. Of course, this isn't necessarily a great indicator of team performance to counter that, just because my team was all Relic 3 and above, and they are all Gear 12, so we'll see if... I'm guessing that Palpatine does similar things to higher Relic Night Sisters, but not absolutely sure. Now, this was kind of a question mark. I would have much rather just used Commander Luke here, but instead, I don't have Commander Luke because he had to take out Darth Revan, and this is what happens when you crash. Everything goes awry. So I was able to just one-shot that Gear 12 nest, which is nice with Spirit. It's quite pleasant being able to do that. Now, this Bounty Hunter team isn't quite as scary, not only because it's only Gear 12, but because they don't have Jango. Now, Jango against Night Sisters is really dicey because if he uses a basic that kills one of the Night Sisters, then the Night Sister is gone forever. However, all they have is Boba at Gear 12. Probably not going to be able to one-shot any of my Night Sisters, is my guess, because they're all relicked. I mean, maybe he can once they whittle me down a little, but this isn't a wonderful bounty hunter team anyways. I've always disliked the idea of Nest alongside Bosk bounty hunters in particular. At least with Nest with the Jango lead gets a bunch of speed from it and can just make the composition really frustrating to deal with. But obviously that's not what this is. I don't really understand why Nest would be with this squad, frankly. Not to be insulting, just don't think that that's the optimal comp. So Night Sister is able to slowly claw these bounty hunters down. 54 is just fine because as long as I get the win here, and my opponent can't clear my back zone, I basically just win now, even if I don't clear fleets. So of course the possibility does exist that he is just waiting to try to clear my Darth Revan after he sees my attacks. So need to be able to clear this fleet, and this fleet is kind of problematic in a way because it's not one I have a ton of experience against. You put the Y-Wing up front instead of Houndstooth, and that does change the dynamic a little bit, though I will say I think Houndstooth is just a better starting tank regardless. I did debate for a little bit what composition I wanted to take here. Ended up deciding to go with Anakin plus Ahsoka and Houndstooth as my starting, and then I went with my with an undersize. I don't really know why I went undersize. Like, I wasn't going to be able to get the final feat anyways. I hadn't really been paying attention to that, frankly, because I wasn't going for a super high place. Just wanted to finish strong, and so probably should have just for like safety reasons, but one way or another, we're off to a decent start. You can see I'm using the pointer to show people. I got the buff block or buff immunity on Anakin, and that means that if we take him out from unending loyalty, then he can't gain stealth, and so it's kind of a nice perk. Like you take him out, and then he's just wide open again. I wasn't quite able to finish him off, as you can see, but everything was going decently, and I wanted fives to come in because, frankly, there wasn't much reason for me to take in Plo yet. I hadn't taken a ton of damage yet, knock on wood, of course, but there wasn't much reason to kind of withhold that, or try to... There wasn't much reason to put Plo in, I should say. So now we're just waiting. I want to get to Anakin. I want to get rid of that unending loyalty, of course. Ahsoka died, and I figured I could take unending loyalty out. And of course, this is when the bug struck. So there's a bug that currently exists with Anakin, and I think with other ships as well, that sometimes if you hit Anakin, even if he's at like no health at all, he just doesn't lose unending loyalty, and he just never dies ever until it naturally runs out. So you saw that damage I did to Anakin. He is now in turn doing a ton of damage to me, and I just wasn't able to cope with that very well. A lot of my guys got really damaged, took some pretty bad hits, and I decided to take in Y-Wing there instead of Plo. Of course, Plo is nice to be able to heal, but Anakin was about to go anyways, and he's probably going to do an AoE and destroy my protection banners anyways, so I took in Y-Wing so that I would get a hit on Anakin and just kill him, because his unending loyalty had finally ended. And once Anakin is gone from a Negotiator fleet, the rest of the fleet just kind of folds, as you can see here, getting the big hit with fives at the end, and then sending in a bombing run for like starfighter bombers trying to kill other starfighters. It's just funny, but ended up with 59, and pretty solid clear considering the fact that I crashed, and there's nothing I can really do about that. So 1885 would have preferred, of course, to get that extra like 30 banners I lost on Darth Revan, but in the end, not a bad score. And that was that. My opponent never attacked my Darth Revan squad, and so I ended up winning at a pretty fair margin. Didn't get full cleared, and really the only person who full cleared me after the first week was my nemesis, Abattoir. So still feeling pretty good. The guy had double Galactic Legends, once again beat that, and as you can see here, I love this screenshot because this is the very best kind of win. When you win and all three of your opponents win all other rounds except for their one against you. So Daticus was the guy in my first round. Quentin is what I decided to call him in my thread. I didn't make fun of his name this time here, sorry. And Mr. Abattoir, of course, who probably deserves the number 2, but it's all the same rewards. So anyways, we all got wins, except for Quentin, and this is a pretty cool strength of schedule win, in my opinion. I like that. It doesn't get me anything extra, but it does make me feel nice that all of my opponents were actually all quite capable. So here's the final score, 1885 to 1622. Poor old Quentin. Just couldn't clear me. And here's the win rewards. I'm sure that most of you get to see this at the end of most weeks, so still pretty cool to get it. And only got like number 601. I don't know if I claimed my my win. Actually, I don't know if I ended up getting the final points for my win because I went camping after all of this, and I don't know if I claimed it. So number 600 went 11-1 for the season, which it's not my best season ever, but this was pretty good. This might have been my strongest season because I had to face so many Galactic Legends. I had to face 2 Galactic Legends 8 of my 12 matches, and that's just a really huge disadvantage. Like, that's just gifting gifting one of your opponents an extra meta team. Like, it's just like she appears on a roster and just fabricates her own meta team. It's extremely difficult. So happy with my results. The only one I lost was my very first round against a double Galactic Legend. I hadn't gotten a good strategy worked out yet. Lost by 1 banner, and then after that, I've won every single other match, including all the ones against double Galactic Legends. The ones against single Galactic Legends have felt relatively easy, actually. Not to get cocky, it feels nice when you have the same number of meta teams as your opponents. So anyways, I will say I can't take full credit for all of this, all of these wins. I mean, I did win and did it on my own. A lot of people did contribute to the team comps that I used, and honestly, Jedi Luke helped an enormous amount when I was able to get him worked up. Being able to have Vader to be able to counter some Galactic Legends is huge, so that rework was nice. So just in time to save my season. Thank you CG. Feels weird thanking him, but anyways, guys, let's see. Feels like I think this might be the final screen, so gonna let you go. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. I would love your feedback, as I requested previously. But one way or another, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.